After days of backlash and tons of criticism from the community, HellDivers2 might have just saved itself with this one simple tweet. How's it going, everybody? I'm CloudRaids and welcome to the channel, where I talk about video games and everything related. Make sure you guys check out the Twitter because I'm always taking video recommendations, and you guys can help bring stuff to my attention that I might not know about beforehand. Where I try to give you guys a voice because, as we've seen before, devs are a little hard-headed. But with all that being said, let's talk about what's going on with HellDivers2 and the whole community. The popular multiplayer PvE game HellDivers2 has been getting nothing but good feedback and a lot of love since its release. So it's crazy to see the game going from very positive on Steam to overwhelmingly negative. What could have happened within such a short amount of time for this game to go from so loved to so hated? To the point where people are literally refunding the game on Steam after they have hundreds of hours on this game. Even going as far as going on Twitter and complaining to the devs directly about how they feel scammed out of their money, which seems to be a common theme within the gaming community if you've seen anything about the Tarkov. And over 177 countries have even pulled the game off of Steam completely. And to be fair, this issue has more to do with Sony and less to do with the actual devs themselves. And you know it's bad when the devs come out and they speak directly against what Sony's doing with their game. Okay, so all the hate goes back to Sony all of a sudden trying to force people to link a PSN account to their Steam account to be able to actually play HellDivers2. A big problem with this is that the game has been out for months now, and this was never really said before. It was like all of a sudden we have to do this or we can't play the game. It kind of came out of left field. And if you know anything about Sony, they're infamously known for their data leaks. And let's say you don't care about the data leaks, you don't care about connecting your PSN account because you already have an Ubisoft account, you got a Rockstar account, you just want to be able to play this game. Well, in a lot of countries you're not allowed to because they don't have PSN. But they did have HellDivers2 on the Steam market, which meant if you've already bought the game because they didn't enforce it, you just couldn't play the game anymore, leading to a lot of countries just pulling the game off a Steam market completely. And I honestly thought that it wasn't going to get any better from there, because if you know Sony, they really stick to their guns. Their main reasoning behind wanting to do this was so they could have better quality of gameplay to stop the cheaters and to stop the trolling. But if you know anything about Sony, that's not the case. Sony is one of those companies where they can make decent stuff and they know it, so they really try to abuse that power. A lot of people don't realize that Sony is a lot bigger than just gaming. Sony is TVs, cameras, and a whole bunch of other stuff, especially on the other part of the world. So they don't care about gaming as much as you really think they do. This is just a side hustle to them. But I digress. Like I said before, I didn't expect this situation to get any better. I thought it was going to get worse. So much to the point that I already recorded a video talking about this last night, and I pretty much had it done edited, but when I was going back to get more footage on Twitter, I seen a special tweet made by Sony. And while I was a little disappointed because I've already spent hours working on that video just for Sony to do something completely out of the ordinary for Sony, but at the same time I was like, I'm happy this has happened. And what I'm talking about is Sony tweeted out and said that they're not going to push that update out where you have to have a PSN. They're backing down from their guns. We won. I seen a lot of people talking on Twitter that this was the good ending, because with the recent story that I just put out talking about Tarkov and how they handled their situation, it looks like Sony kind of took a little bit from that and decided to do the opposite. Instead of shooting themselves in the foot a second time, they at least wanted to backtrack and be able to save what fan base they have. I don't think you guys understand how drastic this hate was, because this game went from hopefully getting a lot of awards at ceremonies to completely being thrown in the dirt and drug around. And the whole situation was weird because Sony has been getting a lot of hate recently, like Sony normally does, but with HellDivers2 it was like you're grown up and you finally met your deadbeat dad and y'all were learning a lot from each other and having a good time, and then you took him to Applebee's and he completely made a fool of himself and completely ruined it and then walked away. But instead of him walking away, I guess like he's walking back now, but the damage is already done. The Applebee's waitress has already been through what she's been through. I don't know where I was going with that, but you guys understand what I'm trying to say here. Sony backed it down and they're not going to push the update out. But a lot of people have already refunded the game A lot of countries have already taken the game off of Steam. A lot of people have a bad taste about this game in their mouth now, and I don't know if you're going to be able to recover from it like you were before. And I feel bad for the devs at Arrowhead Studio, but it's like you made a deal with Sony and then Sony's going to come reap what he wants, right? So you feel bad for them because this wasn't their call. They just wanted to make good games is what they said on Twitter. But now it's like, you know, it's a good game, but nobody really, you know, nobody's going to want to play it anymore. At least not like they once were. This is probably the best outcome that could have happened with the damage that was done. The game devs themselves tried to do damage control before. It didn't work. People were still letting their anger out on them even if it wasn't completely their fault. But is this game going to win any awards now? That's to be determined. I don't think it's going to get as far as it once was because it's now tainted. There's nothing you can do with the Sony effect. If you guys have watched any of my other videos, you guys know that I am not a fan of these big companies, whether that's Microsoft, Sony, or whatever. There's a very select few that I can really put up with, Rockstar being an example. But for the most part, a lot of these companies don't care about us, they just care about money. And Sony went in for that money cash grab, and they got their hands swatted away. Today hasn't been a very good week for gaming, and it seems like these last couple months have really just been a kick to the gut for a lot of gamers, myself included. I just want good games to be made. I don't care who makes these games, whether it's a AAA company or it's an indie company, I don't care. If it's a good game, then it's a good game. Sony has made some good games, yes, I'm not gonna take that away. The Sly Cooper games were probably some of my favorite games ever, but as time goes on, stuff gets diluted. People's minds get diluted, they want the money shot. It's always about money. You guys say it all the time, they don't care about us, and I agree, all they care about is money. And people are gonna keep giving these companies money, and they're gonna keep making money decisions, and it seems like a loop that I'm not sure if we're ever gonna get out of. But we did win this battle. It's one small step for man, one giant leap for us gamers. Hopefully they start to realize that we're done messing with all this low quality, half-baked, money-hungry, straight stupidity that they want to call video games, and everything related to those video games. But with all that being said, guys, I'm CloudRaids and this was my channel. Talk to me down in the comments below. Did you guys forgive Sony? Or are you guys still mad? Are y'all gonna play this game or not? I'm not asking just to ask, I'm genuinely curious. Hell, maybe you even refunded the game, you don't have it anymore, or you can't play the game at all because it's not even in your country. But I hope y'all enjoyed the video. If you did, maybe leave a like. If not, it's okay, I understand. But until next time, y'all have a great day, and like always, I don't know what time it is there, so maybe have a good night too.